blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry, one artist at a time.
Hey folks, Michael Bate from the Michael Bate Band, coming to you from Blast Music 247's Blaster Rock and Metal Podcast. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing time with us this evening. We have a great show for you. So this is how it's done for me. I'm on Facebook, casually scrolling, looking for new music to listen to. I find this band that we're going to talk to tonight. I think a couple comments went through, and then I went to my producer and said, we have got to get this band on the show. They're getting pretty busy, and guess what? We did. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, awaiting Abigail.
Hello.
We're doing the proverbial. You got to put them up, right? You got to put them up. James, Abby, Lori, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is phenomenal. I hope everyone is doing well.
Yes, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Phenomenal. I get to do this. I'm always doing well. James, what's up, brother?
Not much. So good to see you and talk to you in real life.
Yeah, we exchanged emails, and Lori, so happy to have you. Thank you for coming.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, right on. We're going to do this. So let me just give you a little lay of the land, not only for you, but also for the listeners. So what we typically like to do is take a trip in that way back machine and kind of talk about the genesis of the band, where you've been, what you've seen, then kind of come back to the present, talk a little bit about what you're up to now. And then the fun part is we kick that sucker into fifth gear. We go to the future and talk about what's next for the band. Now, I know you have something very, very important coming up in July. I'm not going to spill the beans, but with your permission, I'm hoping we could do sort of a re-announcement of an incredibly cool announcement that you made a while back about what's going on in July, and I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. So we're going to do that a little bit later on in the show, so everyone just sit back, relax, wait for that big announcement. But if that sounds like a plan, are we in agreement? Yeah. Thumbs up? All right. Let's take a jump in that way back machine. So I'm going to start with you, James. Talk to me about the genesis of this band, the how, the why, the where, the whens, all that good stuff.
Well, it kind of started back during COVID, wanting to rekindle a band from high school. And Lori and I never played together at the same time, but her and Heather and I all went to high school together.
Yep.
And Heather and I played in bands together, the drummer. We played in bands together since we were like 15. Started with hair rock, went heavier, and then went all the way to death metal, came out the other side, grunge type stuff. And then I eventually was in college and had to cut all my hair off, get a real job, get serious. And so I left in good graces, but so Lori came to the band after me. She plays bass guitar, but so during COVID, everybody got a new hobby, right? Or an old hobby or something, because that's what you did during COVID. And I just started playing guitar again. I literally put it down when I was 21, 22. Took all my stuff to Guitar Center, sold it, walked away, did the band director thing, and only played the trumpet for the next whatever years until like 2020. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna start playing again. So anyways, I just started texting with Heather, and Heather's like, yeah, I want to jam again. She came over and we just had a couple riffs and stuff, and we're riffing around when we were texting with Lori. The reunion thing wasn't going to happen because some of the old members, and there were a lot of them, kind of went their separate ways or whatever. But Lori said she was in, and Heather and I were kind of talking about we really want a female front band. And after that, we started playing together. And then Abby, we found her on Band Mix. She was here locally and had quite a bit of solo stuff up. And it's funny because I told her, like, honestly, and that's not necessarily because of her age, but she's a college student, etc. I didn't know, like, how serious is she? And she was very persistent. She was like, when are we going to practice? When are we going to win? And I was like, this is great. Like, she's actually showing initiative.
Energy.
And yeah, and everybody was like, she's kind of young. She's kind of young. Well, she came and jammed with us in September. We already had 4 tunes. The 4 tunes are on the EP. Those were already written. Those were just kind of hanging out on my iPad in a very crude form, but hanging out on my iPad since COVID. They were already pre-written, and man, she knocked them out. She did those in probably about a week each, the lyrics and the melodies, and came to practice, jammed with us one time, went right into the studio after one jam and did that EP. So that's kind of how the whole thing got started. And then I just knew the other people, like from Corey's a former student of mine. She played percussion and the school band. And so I knew she had all the keyboard skills, right? Because they signed up for drums, but we all know they're not playing drums. Right? It could be state of mind and marimba and stuff. So Corey was a former student of mine, and Mike, the other guitar player, he's was a flying buddy of mine, a general aviation guy in a local flying club. He's always down for anything and everything. And but he won't want me to tell on his age, but I can tell you that right now we span 5 decades. Mike looks a lot younger than he is. Like you'd never guess his age, but it starts with a 6.
Right on it. Yeah, hey, I was born in the 60s. So I'm getting there. I get it.
Well, we're all getting there. But anyways, that's kind of how we all got together. We kind of put those pieces together, and honestly, we didn't know if it was going to work. You know, anything could have happened. I mean, even after the recording, anything could have happened. And December, when we let the first one go, and I'm new to all the social media stuff and the new world. I mean, back when we were doing this when we were kids, it was flyers under windshield wipers and trading tapes at school and stuff like that. And
well, you have Abby. I'm sure Abby's very more well versed than you are.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just gonna call it. Probably you are.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, man. That is a phenomenal story. What's funny, you said 2 things that struck me. Number one, I started making music over quarantine as well for the same reasons. I had time and wasn't traveling for work and just, needed to rekindle some things. And I also co-owned a musician site that was Bandmix's biggest competitor in the early 2000s, but I let it go. So I know who Bandmix is. And it makes me happy that you did that because I was in that world for a while, the musician matching, if you will. Yeah. So that's awesome. That is awesome. So, James, the band, I noticed that you guys were playing the early band, like in the mid-'90s, late '90s. I mean, that's post-grunge. I mean, are we talking Tonic or Toad or Dishwalla? Like, who were you listening to back then? I know you mentioned you played a lot of different genres, but that's kind of the post-grunge scene. Were you into that scene really with that band?
Well, it was, I don't know, Lori, what would you call it? Like, It came out of our singer was very much like totally different influences than Heather and I had. Laura, you talk about that. What would you call what that band was?
Wait, the first incarnation of it?
Yeah, just talk through the life cycle of it.
Y'all were more like definitely heavy. But the singer was more like Faith No More, Rollins kind of, and then kind of Phil, the little bit Pantera, and I don't know, but it was cleaner than grunge. Yeah. And then by the time I got in, it was much more like stoner rock. It was heavy, but it was stoner rock. But it was more like we covered like Slayer, Deftones, that kind of 90s stuff right there. So.
I can remember we covered Biohazard and we covered Rage Against the Machine, but we played it much heavier than the original.
And also Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, yeah.
So there was grunge. I like it. Damn.
Yeah. It was, I mean, Alice in Chains was a huge influence for that, the beginning of that. And that kind of brought our singer into a little bit more of the metal scene. And it kind of lightened up what we were doing in our previous deal, is kind of how that all melded together.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. So now you guys had the sort of the former life, if you will, in the 90s, and then that disappeared, you said, for what, decades? You mentioned, I read that you were a music school teacher, a trumpet player, James. And then, Lori, what have you been up to since that band broke up and then got back together in 2024?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I've been basically, I played in other bands. I had kind of like, after that band broke up, I was in a band where I did mainly most of the songwriting and stuff like that. So that was kind of my baby. So we did that for a while, and then when that went away, I moved to Dallas, and I've been in just like several bands after that. Mainly more like punk and pop than really metal or anything like that. And then I got into comedy, and I've been doing mainly like improv. I've done stand-up a couple of times, but anyway, I've done, that's kind of what I was doing when James approached me and was like, hey, do you want to get, and I was like, you know what, I miss playing, I really do. So
Oh, that's phenomenal. It is amazing how I know, quarantine affected different people in different ways. Certainly my family had its issues, but there are some positives, something positive that came out, and it sounds like both of us got to make music again, which is awesome. So Abby, you are a student at a local theater school, I read?
Yes, I go to UT Arlington.
UTR, so University of Texas
At Arlington, yeah. It's
Arlington.
like the Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
Oh, right on. So now what are you studying? Like, what's your actual major there?
It's a acting BFA, so it's all acting based, film and theater.
So when are you going to graduate? A couple more years?
Graduating actually next semester, so in December 2025.
You're graduating. Are there plans? Anything in the future?
I was thinking of moving to LA to like do both music and acting. I want to definitely continue with the Awaiting Abigail, keep the legacy going. But yeah.
Yeah, this is too good right now. And I have to say, I love the band name. If I could just assume, but it just sounds, obviously you were awaiting Abigail. Is that how that goes? Is that how the band name?
we were struggling with the name. Like,
I
I'm not
love
even
it.
gonna lie.
It's so clever but simple. You were literally awaiting Abigail.
Right.
It's funny because you can put so much meaning into it, but we literally had the music done, and we had our first gig opportunity, which was a huge first show. It was a Women in Metal showcase for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the promoter was so cool. Her name's Amanda, and she was like, I really want you guys on this, because she was a huge fan of Heather kept playing in bands too, the drummer. And she played in a band called Faded Grace that was real popular. And it was an all-female band, and metal, hard rock. They kind of went their separate ways before COVID. But Amanda was a really big fan of Faded Grace. And so she heard about us because there was a Facebook post where she was like, oh yeah, if we could have Faded Grace, I'd have them on this show in a second. So I just sent her a message and I said, hey, we're not Faded Grace, but we do have a new project, and Heather's the drummer. And she was like, what's your name? I was like, well, okay, so this was in September, like the recordings were done, and we're in post-production, and it was right around October 1st, and we didn't have a name. And I was literally like, guys, we've got to get a name. Like the promoter, and I told the promoter, I said, well, you can actually say that you were here for the birth of this whole thing, but you've got to help me come up with a name. So we kind of we actually wanted to use Abigail's name because we want her to be the centerpiece of attention. But Abigail's already used, it's like a Japanese death metal band. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it couldn't just be Abigail. So we just kind of played around with a couple words, and that's what we came up with.
Rhymes. Yeah, different rhymes that go with it.
It
But
just
it
worked
flows
out.
perfectly. Awaiting, and they're both A's, awaiting Abigail. It flows very, very well. I mean, it's clever. So, kudos, gold star for that one.
Thanks.
Abby, growing up for you, we learned a little bit about James and Lori's influences. I mean, who are you listening to? Who are your musical influences?
Yeah, I started off in pop music, which is crazy. It's a huge jump from pop to rock. But I listen to a lot of like Melanie Martinez. I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't.
she's like alternative pop. I listen to her, Selena Gomez, that type of stuff. Lady Gaga, I love Lady Gaga. But rock-wise, I'd say Evanescence. I love Evanescence. Me and my boyfriend saw him in concert, and we actually met his sister. She was super cool.
Oh, right on.
The Pretty Reckless, we do lots of covers from them. I definitely love them too.
Oh, right on. Yeah, the eclectic mix. I will say, and we'll listen to it later when we get there, but one of your songs to me immediately screamed Evanescence, and you probably know which one that is. We're going to listen to it later. First thing I thought of, one of the songs that I released last year, I used them as a reference track as well. I love what they do. Absolutely love them. Troy, did we lose James? Check 1, check 2. Did we lose James for a minute? That's okay. That's okay. We could take up the slack. I promise we can do it. Okay, so talk to me about writing songs in this band. Now, Lori, were all the songs already written kind of before Abby came, or was this a collective? Tell me about the songwriting process.
So it was written because they were trying to find a perfect person to write the songs. So they're kind of just getting the different options to write music. And for me, I used to work at Meals on Wheels in Houston area. So this is kind of a funny story. But I would stop and I would like write down ideas because sometimes they'll just come to me and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And so I would just stop in between like routes. It was super fun. So that's kind of how I did it. And then I recorded it in my little home studio in Houston because it was summertime. I didn't have college, so I was in Houston with my family. And James loved it, so it worked out.
Oh, right. No, I could absolutely understand that. If you looked at my phone, my voice memo app has the most ridiculous ideas, and 3 a.m, trying to get a melody. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Listening back, it's so crazy.
My wife, the funniest thing is sometimes I try to sing like the chorus and it's a wreck. Or I feverishly type into the notes app, and the next morning trying to decipher what the hell I wrote down is the most fun.
Like, what was I thinking?
Lori, how about you? So, Lori, tell us about your songwriting style. I'm curious to know how you do this.
When I write a song, it's kind of like what Abby said. Something will get in my head, and I'll just have a riff in my head, and I'll be like, and then. But a lot of times, like y'all were saying, I've got to record it, or it will come and go. Like I'll have this riff, and then I'll sleep on it, and then go, okay, what was that? You know what I mean? So but I start with the riff, and then kind of like build on that with like, bridge, verse, whatever. But it's usually like probably a chorus or whatever.
So you like to write. So this is interesting because a lot of singers like to start to write with the lyrics, where a lot of the actual musicians, not to say singers don't play as well, but musicians a lot of times like to write, guitar players, the music first and then the lyrics. Is that how you typically do it? Music first and then work with lyrics?
I didn't write anything on this, so I'm not trying to
no, I'm just curious.
Jump or take credit or whatever. But when I do it, what was the question again?
Like, do you typically start with the music always because you're not the singer? You're one of the musicians.
I never think about lyrics. Never, ever, to the ever. No.
Oh, right on.
I mean,
so you're just grooving.
When there was a time that I was in a band where I was singing and playing, so I would kind of think about what I was going to be singing, but it's just always the music first.
Oh, okay. James, what about you? How do you do this?
So I just sit down with my guitar and start riffing around, and then something that sticks, I'll just keep playing it and kind of round it out, try to figure out what time signature it's in. If it grooves, then I'll let it stay. Kind of like a Bad Mind, like it just grooved, even though it's 7/4. It didn't, but other times it's kind of obtuse, so I'll make it fit into 4 or whatever I'm trying to do. So I would just I would just riff around, come up with riffs, then kind of put them in an order and record them onto my iPad with a drum app. Very crude, all very crude.
Yeah.
But it's the same way we wrote back in the day. Like the guitar players would riff something out. And, I always try to be real collaborative because I want other input. But when there's nobody else around, that's just kind of how it works,
Yeah.
So at the time, there was nobody else around who wrote that when I wrote that EP. And also, there's another 6 songs that are just sitting there on the iPad. We may dive into some of those. We're already kind of venturing into some different stuff, but I'm telling you, with this group of people, like, songwriting is not an issue. Like, time and our outside lives are the issue, because Lori writes, Abby writes and plays acoustic guitar, and Mike also writes, and it all sounds different. I call it the blender. Like, so I tell everybody to bring their ideas, and then we just put it in the blender, and let the blender that is Awaiting Abigail will spit it out in whatever format it does, you know.
Oh no, I get that. One of my favorite bands in the world is Alter Bridge, and Mark Tremonti and Miles Kennedy talk about how they have all these puzzle pieces, songs, riffs written from years ago, and they literally just put puzzle pieces together, and you'd be surprised how things work. So I understand that process. But one thing for now, though, I love so much talking about your music, but guess what? I want to listen to some. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's please play Bad Mind by Awaiting Abigail. Hell yes, that is the song that introduced us, by the way, back in the Facebook world. Oh my goodness. Well, obviously, Abby, you're no stranger to the screen. That's pretty obvious. So tell me about that song. Tell me about the writing. Tell me about that video. I am so intrigued by the style and the filters and that stop motion. And I don't know what that's called exactly. Videography, phenomenal. Just talk to me. I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Yeah, so we did two parts. First we did it with the band, with the full band, and we actually put black sheets around the whole studio that we actually practiced in. And so it was really cool to make it look like it's endless. And then we just blasted the music, and we were sweating in there so bad. Remember, Lori and James? We were like sweating so bad, but we just kind of did it over and over again until he was like, "Yep, that's it." And he kind of would just like do the camera in between us to make those cool effects. Woo. And then we did a separate portion where I actually have the vanity with me.
And he said,
Oh, no
"Don't
kidding.
bother, it's going to be boring."
I love the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix in the Joker scene. That reminds me of the Joker scene from Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes. Because James actually gave me this, so I use it every day. But that scene was we have just the vanity, same room, same black sheets. And then we had a makeup person, and she dolled me up, and then we kind of just messed it up for the bad Abigail. And it was really fun. So the whispering part, I don't know if you remember that part where I'm like whispering to myself. That was like obviously two different shots because there's two of me.
You're like mirroring almost.
Yeah. Trying to like do the exact distance of where I would be to be like whispering, and then he kind of just put them together. So it was really cool, really fun.
Was that in Dallas? Shot in Dallas?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a funny story. So what happened was this show that we have coming up on Saturday. There's a band called Lockjaw, and Justin Paul from Lockjaw, and also Dreadscope Films. He's done several films around the Texas area. He just sent me a message and said, "Hey man, I'm going to be at Creep Fest and I'm videoing all the other bands. Do you want me to video your band?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, told me some ridiculously low number, and I was like, "Of course." And he was like, "You guys plan on doing a video anytime soon?" I was like, "Man, we'd love to do a video." And he's like, "All right, what are you doing next week?"
Because I was serious.
Yeah, he was dead serious. And he is a get it done type of guy. He has his own business. I think he does fencing and stuff like that, and has his own company. He has people that work for him and stuff, but he does the video stuff on the side as well as play with the band. And I tell you, he was awesome from the very beginning. Like he was like, I love this music, and I can write out some screen flow to it really easily, and this is how we can do it. And I mean, literally within like 1 week of discussing it, we were doing it. And that the crazy thing about that video, like Abby was saying, is it's entirely shot in our jam room. And it's at a rehearsal facility, but he told me, he was like, "You're not going to believe it." He said, "I can do it all in here, and it will look like, I can make it look like whatever we want it to look like."
No green screen. No, not a single green screen.
No, you know what I've noticed? People are starting to not like those. They prefer like a neutral, really dark background for some reason. I don't know anything about it, but that's what I was asking them, because the studio area, the rehearsal facility where we're at, actually does have a green room. He's like, no. Yeah. He said it's going to be, we're going to put black sheets up, and he said I'm going to hang lighting. He said I've got the lighting, and he showed me some of his work that he had done with Lockjaw, and I was like, "Man, that looks awesome." He's like, "That was done in a shed, like in somebody's backyard."
That makes me happy. Honestly, it makes me happy because obviously, budgets are concerned typically for most bands, but it looks absolutely phenomenally well done on a big stage. I thought we had green screen and CGI. Wow. Wow. Impressive. Yeah. That's impressive. I very much dig that. Abby, have you done screen work other than that video? Have you been in other?
I've done lots of like short films on campus, but nothing with like a green screen. That would be fun though.
Yeah, because you could put yourself in outer. I think I did that once. I put myself in outer space. Yeah, just for fun. Okay, so this is awesome. So we're talking a little bit about the past. Maybe we'll get a little bit sort of into the present, I guess. Or so, what's going on right now? Tell me about gigs. You're writing. I think your last releases were late 2024. Is that when all the songs kind of came out? What's happening now?
Yeah, we're writing new songs. We have 2 or 3 more songs that we're like getting ready, but we haven't recorded them yet. We are gonna play 2 at Creek Fest, so it's like a little reveal.
Oh, right on.
One that I just wrote, so that one's like brand new. The music though is like awesome, super cool. And then we're guitarifying a song that I actually made whenever I was doing like my pop era. It's called Anxiety, and it's like a sad mental health song. So we're like making it creepy and more rock. So it's super cool.
Ah, right on. So is this a situation where maybe you had lyrics written, you kind of bring it to the band and say, hey, do you have something to match these lyrics, or how does that work?
Yeah. So for the other one, he sent me the track of
Yep.
the music already, and then just told me to write. That's kind of our thing. So he'll just send me the music, and then I write to it, which is actually honestly easier for me. But for the Anxiety one, I already had the music.
Oh, okay.
Version. Yeah, it's out on YouTube too, so we kind of just used that and then made it more rock.
Ah, okay. Understood. Yeah, I love that video. It's amazing. I'm pretty sure that's the song that introduced us. So obviously you guys like to write. Everyone writes. You're writing music, liking lyrics. So talk to me about the potential of, and this is something I'm terrified of cover songs. Like I've been, my producer and I keep talking about cover song. I just don't know where to stop me and where to start the original artist. I'm not smart enough to do that. Would you guys ever consider a cover? And if so, do you have anything in mind?
James?
We have one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I don't have any interest in ever recording a cover song, but we've probably will always play at least one, and if it's a long set, 2 cover songs live. But I don't. Maybe that'll change in the future, but I just wouldn't want to do that personally. I don't know about the other members of the band, but recording it, to me, I'd rather. And when we do play it, also, I don't really try to play it exactly like the original. We try to get close enough that like people can sing along and like we do it justice, but at the same time we kind of we're not going to change like the whole setup and everything just to make it. And we may add some stuff that's not there, we may take some stuff that's not, but yeah, I don't know that there's a lot of interest in recording a cover. Heather's done it before. She did. Do y'all remember what the song was she said that they did? Golly, I can't believe I don't remember. But she did. I
don't remember.
Passenger. I don't know.
Oh, the artist from Irish guy, the acoustic guitar player, Passenger.
No. I know who you're talking about. Actually,
I like his stuff. Yeah,
I can't remember. She'd be mad at me for not remembering right now. But anyways, she's done it before. She did it with her previous band. It was good. But yeah, I don't know. I hear what you like. What are your thoughts about doing it? You said you don't. You question it.
I'm terrified because I don't know. I mean, there's so many cover songs, of course, out there, and some cover songs I like, way better than the original.
Sure.
Talk about All Alone the Watchtower. I'm pretty sure Hendrix, does that better than Bob did. Hey Joe, that's one of the greatest cover songs in the history of music, way better than the Leaves did it, But then some covers you don't like more than the original. So I don't know exactly where that line is. Obviously, you have a line. There is that line. I don't know where the line is. So I have an idea that we might think about, but I'm just terrified of it. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Laura, how about you?
I've done a cover with a previous band. It was we did God Star by Psychic TV, but we kind of did it like our vibe of it, kind of slowed it down, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty badass. But as far as like, I'm kind of like James as far as like, I don't really want to record like someone else's stuff. I mean, we can. It's not a deal breaker, but like it's almost like kind of like being like tribute band to somebody. I don't know. That's just my.
No, I understand. I said music is my therapy. I have to write it. That's why I'm terrified of a cover because I want to write it. Abby, what do you think?
Yeah, I've done a lot of covers. I like Creep by Radiohead. I like that one. I think that would be really cool to like electrify. but I do agree that writing is better. Yeah, I just kind of go with the flow. If someone tells me to memorize something, I'll try it out. It's super fun. I like Hotel California too, and Enter Sandman. That one's really fun.
Oh yeah, two very different songs.
Yeah.
Abby, tell Mike about your acoustic thing. She did a deal. So all these people are very talented. They do stuff outside of this. Like Lori was saying, she does comedy, and she also did roller derby. What else have you been into?
Roller derby.
Yeah.
Horror movies.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Horror movies. Yeah. So Abby also does, and she can tell you about this, but I went to it. It was my first time to see her in her own solo environment. She did a coffee shop in Dallas, and it was incredible. She literally played music from, you can tell them what it was. It was Linda Ronstadt all the way up to the current day.
Yeah, Beatles, Patsy Cline. I did Radiohead, Creep. I did Eagles. What else did I do? I did a lot of stuff
from every decade.
Yeah.
Do you have like a sweet spot, something you really, really like, or do you just like it all?
I used to be in a little kid rock band in Houston. It's called All About Music, and my teacher Dan, he loved the Beatles. He was obsessed with the Beatles, and then he also said like I sounded like Fleetwood Mac, so we would do a lot of songs like that, like Crazy, Dreams. Mm-hmm. That was more of like definitely a cover band. Like we never really did too many originals until the end, but yeah, just to learn.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. I will say, after hearing Bad Mind, the first two bands that came to mind, in my mind, when I heard that song originally, and correct me if I'm wrong, was Alice in Chains, and I think, James, you mentioned that before. I hear some Godsmack in there as well. And then, of course, it's very easy to compare you to other female-fronted bands. That makes sense. I hear so much of the one and only Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, who just blows my mind, man. She's amazing. I hear some of that. Is that fair?
Yeah, I love that. It's great.
Oh, good. Right on. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I just was listening to her. Matter of fact, she's a Pennsylvania gal. She was just on our local Philadelphia radio station. I was listening to her interview, and she was doing some a cappella singing because like in music, things weren't working for whatever reason, so she had to sing things a cappella in the morning radio show, and she just crushed it. So I got to hear her maybe a week or two, I think is what it was. But I could certainly hear those influences.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So talk to me about this. So, James and, Laura, you've been around a little bit longer. I'm not a spring chicken myself. So in the music business, tell me what you like today and then what you just do not like and what you wish you could change. Anything stick out to you? What you like and what you really don't like?
Laura, you want to go?
Since we're kind of getting back well, at least I can say I'm getting back into it after quite some time. I don't know what I don't like yet. What I do like is I really like that nobody smokes anymore in the venues. Like that's cool. Like I'm not I don't smell and I'm not hacking up a lung after a show. And the venues seem to be like nicer than like back in the 90s. There were some. I'm not gonna swear on your little but yeah, there were some holes, you know what I mean? And so it seems like the venues are nicer, you're not afraid to go to the bathroom, stuff like that. So like I really like that, but I don't know what I don't like yet.
Yeah,
Give
fair
me
enough.
some time.
Yeah, no, you'll find something, I'm sure. James, what about you?
I think that same thing as Lori. I'm new to it again, but I really like the and some of it doesn't pertain to us right now. Like right now, it's all gravy because the technology allows us to get out there and grow like we have in such a short period of time. Yep. I understand at a higher level and like actually trying to make money and everything. I understand like, the Spotify situation and the streaming stuff. I understand and people have really strong opinions about it. And I totally get it because, I mean, let's face it, back in our day, we couldn't wait to get to the
record store.
New tape, new CD.
The record store.
Yeah, $5, $10, $20, whatever it costs. we were ready to pay it, and we wanted to open it and touch it. And I'm kind of still from that era. Like I still like to open stuff and touch stuff, and have so it's a double-edged sword. What I do like is for sure the independent thing. So it's nice not feeling like, and I was talking to some of the other people about this here locally, like you have so much more freedom. You don't feel like, being signed is not what it was. And like what?
No.
Yeah. And what is that? That doesn't even, but along with that comes a whole lot of freedom. Like I like to say that we're completely independent musically, financially, and management. Like we're just doing this all the way that we want to do it and how we want to do it. And it works great.
Yeah, no, I agree. You probably didn't know this. I actually served as A&R exec for a record label for a short period of time, not too long ago, and no longer with them right now. I'm doing this kind of thing. But no, I get it. I've been on both sides, as assigned and on the other side, so I get it. Yeah. What about you, Abby?
Yeah, I do like that you get to put it to streaming platforms, but I also always liked CDs. So when I was little, that's what we would use, the CD in. And so I don't know. I don't really like social media, although I am a new generation, but I don't really like it because it feels like you always have to be every single day, like posting stuff. Whereas like I've heard back in the day, like you could just go to the club and talk to people. And I like that much better, like person to person.
Yeah. We spoke face to face a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No other way.
Behind the screen, it's like you have to pay to like promote it, to push it out. It's
Yeah, we talk about the streaming. I know streaming is what it is. There's pros and cons, and this is not the forum to discuss that. But, James, Lori, excuse me, Abby, back in the day when you went and got that album, 1977, I saved up my allowance. I bought my first album ever. It was Kiss Love Gun. I opened that phone, and there's that huge stage with the fire and, the lyrics and the pictures. And, oh, my God, the albums were everything. This new generation, now they see a square on the phone. It's just, I feel awful for the new generation. I hate to say that, but I do.
Yeah. Abby's she's actually kind of an old soul when it comes to social media.
Right on.
She's not like, it's not like you would think for the typical, I have kids that are her age, and she's very mature for her age, and she's an old soul, I think.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Well, that'll fit in with all the old folks, right? That we all are. Right?
Until we get
fit perfectly with us old folks. Well, speaking of fitting perfectly, right now, I think is a perfect time to fit in our next song. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Falling Under by Awaiting Abigail. Okay, so that one's my favorite. That's the one that I sent to Troy today, and I said, Troy, you've got to play this song. And he was like, idiot. He didn't say idiot, but it's already on here. I'm like, oh, I just forgot. So 2 observations on that one, if I could, then I want to hear more about that song. If that's not Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains playing that guitar, I don't know who is, number one. Number two, number two, so when I write songs, dynamics are very, very important to me. It's something I think about. That song has so many dynamics, peaks, valleys, troughs, plateaus. I mean, applaud you on the songwriting on that one, and the juxtaposition of the lyrics and the music, phenomenally well crafted. So those are my observations. Tell me about that song.
Yeah, it's just about manipulative relationships. Again, I wrote that in the Meals on Wheels band. Um, and then I would go home and I would be like, okay, this doesn't look right. Let's redo this.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I used Evanescence as like a big influence for that one. I wanted to kind of use the head voice and the chest voice in that to kind of get that range.
The intro was very much Evanescence,
Yeah.
that intro, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and then James also helped direct me to like kind of some of the harmonies and stuff. We were kind of working on that together.
When you're trying to compare vocals to Amy, I mean, Amy had such a range, and as do you, but that's a great person. James, yeah, tell me about that song.
Well, Abby and I are like complete opposites. She's like supernaturally talented, and I'm like academically educated. So it's really fun to work with her.
Nature versus nurture.
It's very fun to work with her because I can be like, take her melody and then I can plink out harmonies on the piano. Can't play the piano by any means, but just from schooling, I can say, okay, this note won't work, this will work. And the other thing that can't be overlooked is our recording engineer / producer is like a 7th member of the band.
Yep.
Alex Gerst from Empire, and you see him at the beginning of that video, and that's not even a real video, right? It's just like I made that on my cell phone because it's just a montage. But you see him at the beginning of it, and he basically we went in to do the rhythm section tracking, and we did all the tracking, and then he's like, "Okay, now do this." I'm telling you, he brought in instrument after instrument, and he's like, "Just trust me." I'm like, "We trust you." We actually recorded with his dad when we were teenagers. So he brought me guitar. He's like, okay, this is Nashville tuning. Just play this, double this with this. And I'm like, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. He brought me in like a Big 6 bass, distorted bass. That tune also has a sitar in it. That's at the beginning and the end. He's amazing, and what he was able to get out of us. And that's another thing, kind of going back to like, because not that we're a big deal, because we're not, but I've had people call me and say, okay, you could do an album and you can do it in our recording studio and whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to do it in your recording studio. Like, I want to do it with Alex, and I want to do it our way, and I want to do. But that particular song, again, it was beginning to end. I had it riffed out on my iPad with a silly drum app that just basically had the time changes and everything in it. Yeah. Definitely Alice in Chains influence. Jerry Cantrell would play all of that much better, but totally. When I got back into this, I picked right up where I left off, which was Dirt. And so I was that's what I was listening to at the time that I wrote that during COVID.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. The intro is really funny because the intro was not there. When I gave the track to Abby to write it, the intro was very much an afterthought that we showed up to record that song. And I was like, I really would like to put this at the beginning. What do you think, Alex? And I had brought a recording from home of just me plinking out that piano part. Mm-hmm. And I had done that. Well, it's funny because it worked so much that he didn't even have me replay it. Like I was expecting to, because after we did the rhythm tracking, we're all nerds, by the way, in the band. We're all super nerds. So like after we did the rhythm tracking, I bought Pro Tools and then started kind of incorporating that into my writing. So I went to Alex. Here's like something that I would want to do at the beginning, just this really simple piano thing with the string background. He's like, it's perfect. It's staying just like that. And I'm putting it right here. And then I asked Abby, I was like, hey, can you maybe do do Falling Under, like do it and do it really high. And then, and Alex was like, I know exactly what to do with that. And that's the intro. There you have it.
Yeah, it works perfectly. It was meant to be. No, I love that song. It's so funny that I was want to make sure that we played that. That's funny. Wonderful. Lori, tell me about anything about that song that sticks out to you.
No, you said it. It's definitely definitely has the Alice in Chains vibe and definitely has an Evanescence vibe. Like,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, two very good reference tracks or reference bands to use. That's amazing.
Hey,
all
Mike,
right. So now, go ahead, James.
Yeah. So I'll tell you something interesting about that song in terms of because we let this stuff out, and we did everything non-traditional. Like we had the 4 songs done, and we released the single, and then we released the next one a week later, the next one a week later, the next one a week later. We did that to build up to our first show. Yeah. Honestly, and we laugh about this now, but we didn't know how long this project was going to last. Was it going to be that recording? Was it going to be one show and then we're done? Like what, you never really know. So yeah. We did it non-traditionally. Everybody that is in the know, and we listen to 99% of what people tell us to do, but I did not on that particular aspect of release timing because I didn't know if this was going to be it. Yeah. So everybody else was like, you never release anything at the end of the year. You never release anything because then it's immediately old. It makes sense. Like when they explain, like you're immediately.
Christmas time's tough. Yeah, Christmas time's tough. Yeah.
But it was all geared around our first performance, which was in December. But what I wanted to tell you about that though is, so the chorus of that song where it kind of goes into double time, and it has the strings in the background. It appeals to a rock goth group genre that really pick up on that and have taken interest in us because of that song and because of that chorus. And so the reviews have been really interesting to read on all of them because, I mean, we don't know. Like we write our music and then we put it out there. Like you're too close to it, as a musician, you're too close to the project. You don't really know. You lose perspective. Yep. So it's really interesting the interest that came of that, and there were people that said that the chorus reminds them of like an 80s horror flick, or it reminds them of like the soundtrack to Stranger Things. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, these are people that like know their music that are saying this stuff. It's not just like, and so we're like, okay, we'll take it. And what it's kind of enabled us to do is like slide into all these playing with different bands, because I mean, it's hard for them to, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all rock and roll, right? Like Billy Joel, but it's really made us kind of adjacent friendly to a lot of different.
No, I love the dynamics, love that double time. It definitely drives that chorus. That was very well done, well crafted. So we're coming kind of close to the end. However, there is one very, very important action item that we need to address. If I remember correctly, you guys have a pretty big gig coming up in July in Los Angeles. And I'm like freaking out for you guys. Like, I cannot believe that you're going to say this. Please tell us about this gig at a place where like most of my favorite bands have played. Like, I'm gonna cry here. Tell us about your gig in July.
So on July 19th, we're opening for LA Guns at Whiskey A Go Go on Sunset Strip. And we're so excited about it.
You said that too fast. You said that way too fast. Say that slowly again.
Whiskey A Go Go on July 19th, opening for LA Guns.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah, it's such a slam dunk. And the thing is, because of my job, I'm able to travel, and I go to the Whiskey about 4 to 6 times a year. All right, right on. And I've been there when it's packed, and I've been there when it's not been packed, and I chat with the people there and everything, and it was just the perfect, I was kind of visiting before I really knew I had a band. Like, I thought maybe I have a band, maybe I don't. But like, I was talking to the booking guy there, Jake, and I was like, hey man, I would really love to do something here. And we're from Dallas. It would be like a, one-off deal. It'd have to like really work. I mean, there was just like some stuff that went on behind the scenes to really make that work. And I mean, opening for LA Guns in LA, like it's a slam dunk.
Yeah,
so
people are going to be there. And you mentioned, so I know a guy named Carlos who books for the whiskey. Carlos Bates.
Yeah, Carlos is helping Jake out. Like I think Jake is kind of the normal guy, main guy, and then he's just overwhelmed or like has other job stuff that he does.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. This is, I mean, so Lori, what do you think about this?
I can't believe it. I really can't. Like, of doing all that I've done, and definitely never got to like where I would think I would be playing there. So I'm stoked.
Oh my God, Abby! I mean, you've heard of the whiskey, I'm sure. I mean, right? You know the whiskey, the history of the whiskey.
I'm so excited. I
mean, it's insane. Like, I'm gonna cry. I think this is insane. This is insane. The whiskey got the Doors. I mean, everyone. All the Sunset Strip bands. I mean, the Motley Crue. Oh my gosh! One of my favorite bands just played there. I think. Well, maybe last year, Plush. A year or two ago, I think Plush played there. But I mean, I'm so happy for you. I cannot believe that's happening. You guys definitely hit the ground running, and then you're kind of sprinting a little bit. And this is one of the reasons why I told Troy, I said, we got to get them on the show now, or we may lose them. I don't know. They may go over somewhere and just, not want to come on our show. So that is so exciting. I'm so happy for you. July 19th, Whiskey A Go-Go, Sunset Strip, Los Angeles, California. That is a great way to kind of wind things down. Well, folks, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, Awaiting Abigail. I'm sure you're on every social media platform, every streaming platform there is. Awaiting Abigail. Any final messages, Abby, for your fans?
Just make sure to stream us. We'll keep updating y'all on Facebook. I know we post things about like twice a day. So definitely keep updated with that. We have some more shows coming, have more songs, as we said earlier, that are going to come out soon. And yeah, just keep updated. We love to hear y'all's feedback and what y'all think about our songs and our music.
Lori, what about you? Final messages.
Just, I just hope folks show up and show out, because that's what we're going to be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. James, what about you? Final message, brother.
Just really humble, really glad that people like our music. And it's like I said before, it's all gravy to us. Like, we enjoy doing it, and it's just awesome that people like hearing it.
Yep. Well, like I said earlier, Facebook, me screwing around, finding one of your songs is how you got here today. That's how it's supposed to be done. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Awaiting Abigail. Appreciate you. Love your music. We will see you again.
Yes, we'll see you again. Thank you.
Right on. See you, folks.